Hello, welcome to the quick learning session with Joy. And today I wanted to introduce you to this new process called NIRA. So, NIRA, New Initiative Risk Assessment, is a formal review process used to evaluate risk associated with launching or changing something new in an organization, such as a new product, system, service, process, technology, vendors, or market expansion. It generally ensures that before the organization proceeds, all the potential risks are identified, analyzed, mitigated, and approved by relevant stakeholders. This is a standard practice in banks, public sector bodies, and organizations which are more data centric. And typically, what do you address? You address about 5 questions like what could go wrong? What controls must be added? Who needs to approve it? How does it impact compliance, privacy, security, contract, operations, technology, and customers? Is the organization ready to implement it safely? So once you answer these questions, you are in a better state to understand the organization's maturity in adopting a new technology, system, process, or anything new. Now, there are various domains that you will look at, like governance, operational risk, compliance and regulatory risk, privacy and data protection, information security, technology, contractual and legal risk, reputational risk, and financial and cost risk. So you will basically be categorizing and identifying all the risks related to the new initiative on these domains. Let's take a look at how this thing really works. Right. So to begin the risk assessment, as discussed in a while ago, we would begin identifying the project. So here is where we will understand what is the project all about. So name of the initiative, like if you're launching a new product or a new website, so you're going to mention it here. The business owner or the sponsor who's sponsoring the project, department who's responsible for it, description of the new initiative. This is important that we describe what change is being introduced, the purpose of such change, scope, expected outcomes. These are very critical aspects to understand at the depth of the project that will be implemented. What is the reason for the initiative? Why is this being launched? Market need. Is it a market need, operational improvement, client request, or just to make sure there is enough? Is it because of the regulatory requirement and the date by when you are expecting it to be launched? So these are very critical information that needs to be there for one to understand the origin, the main reason, the purpose for this particular change. Now, once we have this, that's when we get into identifying the stakeholders and also get an approval from each of these. So like we have the executive sponsor, the GRC lead, privacy lead, and all the way right at the end. Finance, typically if in case there is money involved in it, right? Or there is some sponsorship required, like from funding point of view. So in that case, finance will be also required to be involved, right? For transparency's sake. Now once we're done with this step 2, third step is more critical and the most critical part of the entire process. This is where we spoke about the domains, right? The governance, operational, compliance. So we will assess, let's say we're looking at adding a new app. Okay, so considering this is the new product or change that we're looking to introduce. How is this change, this app impacting the governance of your organization? How is this app get an impact on the operational aspect? How are you impacted because of the regulatory changes? Or how is the regulatory change impacting the app? So all of this description is what you will end up documenting here. Again, risk management is not alone a responsibility of the GRC personnel. You will have to have the SMEs, the production department and the trainers together brainstorming and listing it out. It is an activity that needs to be performed collectively. Once you've done that, it's just like any risk assessment. We do the impact, we do likelihood, and then we get the risk rating. And once we have that, then we decide on the existing controls. Do we have one existing control that can help you mitigate this? Okay, so list it out here, and then you got the mitigation action required. So in case you don't have any of these and you have to get in a new contract with or hire a new vendor to mitigate certain risk, get all the list right here. Now, as we identify these risks, it is important to tag them to a owner. The whole reason is accountability. In case you do not have any owner, then the risk typically gets just passed along, which is a bad practice. As an effective organization, there's always a need for a risk owner that needs to be entered, and the timeline by when you're expecting this control to be implemented. Accountability, like I said earlier, right? The accountability will be from timeline point of view, at the same time from the person who owns it. This is something that we have the largest activity in the whole process. So once you're done with this, that is when we move to the last piece. Here we identify more on the risk categories, and assessment. Identify risk across major domains, add rows as required. In the earlier sheet that we spoke of, keep adding more risks that you think whatever is applicable to you. Privacy and data protection review. So you're going to ask the question, does it apply to you, yes or no? If it's no, then no questions asked. If it's a yes, then you got to answer these questions. What kind of data is stored, collected, shared with external parties? Retention period for such data. If there's a consent required as per the regulations, GDPR, or is it California privacy law, or Quebec, or PIPEDA in Canada? So in that case, you need to have consent as well for storing and using client or customer information. Apart from that, you got a few more more pointers that you bake into a risk assessment, the controls on that. Then you got the information review, security review also. Again, this is just an example, is what I'm showing. The list can go on, it can be really long, but with whatever we have right now on a screen, if you're able to make this a good looking or comprehensive one with a lot of thoughts, you'll get an idea of how the product is adding new risk or opportunities to your organization. I would request you try it out and let me know how it goes in the comment box. And well, thanks for watching.